welcome to the Weave of Words. My name is Arnie. I am your host. I am the president of Brockton Arts, and I am with my friend ROYALE L'RADIN here today. He is a member of our board, a performance poet, a spoken word artist, and today we are going to talk about poetry as performance. Spoken word as performance, as a way to say things that you cannot ordinarily say.
Yes.
You can't say in standard conversation. How do you get across some of the more complicated thoughts and feelings in life? And I am going to start with a piece. It's a very short performance piece that has come out of a series of conversations about exactly how cacophonous the world is today. We all seem to be focused on ourselves. There is no looking out, there's only looking in. And this is called My Perspective. It is all simply crystal clear as long as you look at it from my perspective. I am, my concerns are, my victimhood is. Truth be told, I don't mind taking yours. It's only fair that I benefit from what you've worked for. I offer nothing but drag. Nothing but drag. I am the obsessed center of my own universe. I only take. I never give. It's crystal clear. All you have to do is look at it from my perspective.
It's a wonderful piece.
But it does to me, and this was one of those days I sat down and this just kind of flowed out of my pen. I was kind of angry about the sense that it's all about somebody else. All I got to do is look at it like that. And that kind of makes things sort of all right, but we're all living with the cacophony of a world where that's fundamentally not true. It is about other people. It's not about me.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where this came from in me. Tell me, please, where you got the motivation to start to write and to start to perform, to start to stand up in a larger than normal voice and in an unusual language, begin to express yourself. You are a self-described spoken word artist.
Well, spoken word poetry is there to, evoke emotions. And when you're reciting a poem through your mouth and your hands and your eyes and gestures, it actually captivates the audience.
It's not just the words.
Yes.
It is the performance part of it. It is bringing people with you. It's not just a read. It's not just a series of words on a page. It is
taking the people on the journey with you.
Absolutely.
Bringing them inside you.
Absolutely. Now, does this come easily to you?
I mean, practice, but it comes naturally.
Okay. How does it come naturally to you?
Because the emotions are real.
Okay.
The emotions are real. I feel them.
Okay.
When I feel them, they come out.
Well, my people were fundamentalist Christians.
Yes.
And the alliteration from the pulpit, if you've ever been to a tent revival meeting, it's rock and roll. You can listen to the emotion on that stage. You can watch it on the stage. It's not just the words from the good book. It is the words plus the performance plus the emphasis plus the drama, and it brings people along until people are excited. People are with you. People are coming along with that journey and with that story.
For example, people may think spoken word poetry has to rhyme. It doesn't necessarily have to rhyme. When it rhymes, it can.
It can, but it doesn't have to.
But it's like, think of it in this way. Think of it as if you're speaking to a young lady that you care about, and you're expressing yourself to her. When it comes out naturally.
Well, that's always been impossible as far as I'm concerned, but, you're probably right.
It comes out. When it comes out, that's poetry. That's spoken word.
This is the language of love.
Yeah.
This is how you express yourself when it matters, when it's inside your heart. Correct?
Yes. And it's, when you're speaking from inside, it's truth.
Well, it's a hard thing to do. Most men I know have been, for most of time, denied the emotional language that is part of that type of expression. How do you express yourself verbally? How do you express yourself emotionally? How do you express yourself with something other than your fists?
Yes.
Okay, with something other than your physicality? How do you, as we have liberated much of the world, it is time that we liberate our young men and hand them on purpose the emotional vocabulary, the spoken word, the poetry that allows them to express themselves in a way such that the world listens.
And to express yourself too would mean to expose yourself, and to expose yourself would make you feel vulnerable.
That's
which is the
hard.
reason.
That's hard.
That's hard.
I've got a piece, my friend Frank Miller wrote this. Actually, you know Frank also.
Oh, yes,
you
I
have
do.
performed with him. This is called Going Fast.
Yes.
Now, Frank was a curmudgeon. Frank was a classically trained, Shakespearean actor. He did musical theater. He was a wonderful, wonderful performer. And this was Frank's take on the world as he sees it now. And it's called Going Fast. These are dry days on a dry and nowhere special kind of a road, and you are roaring past, going nowhere but really fast behind the blind reflections in the tinted glass, shimmering in the heat, shuddering to the beat of speakers as big as coffins. In this firestorm of a day where you cannot go but mustn't stay, you are roaring past, going God knows where, but very, very fast, melting in the heat, fracturing to the beat behind your tinted glass with speakers as big as coffins. In the maelstrom of your day, in the nowhere of your way, in the comfort of the heat, in the roar of the coffin beat, comes a shuddering relief, a hope, a small belief that in all the places you so blindly pass, behind the shimmer of your tinted glass, lies a possibility. Something might actually be happening. Now, as we move, poof, 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 pell-mell, high speed through our lives, we miss all manner of things. In my world, as I see myself, as the world gets more connected, it gets more separated at the same time. Because nobody does what you and I are doing right now. Nobody sits down and talks face to face.
Anymore.
Do we see the same world? Is that world moving so fast that we miss it? We don't see what's going on around us. We miss friends, we miss relationships, we miss lovers, we miss family, we miss children, because we're all going faster, 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 faster.
And technology makes it even worse.
Say again.
Technology.
The technology is driving an awful lot of it. The more we do, it seems we are unbelievably busy, but there's no result. There's no end game. It seems to be busy for the sake of being busy. Now, this bothered Frank in particular. Frank loved the sense of being able to perform, being able to present yourself such that you are being listened to and paid attention to say something in a way that makes people listen. I've heard you on stage.
Yes.
I've watched you a couple of different times, and you have a capacity to hold an audience. You are exuberant. You are expansive when you speak, and your audience goes along with you. When did you discover that you had that in you?
What do you mean? Do you say, when I discover that
When did you discover it? When did you step up on that stage and say, wait a minute, I can do that, or I should do that, or that appeals to me?
Well, it was my very first performance, and when you're about to perform, you get nervous. And as I stood on the stage, I seen the crowd, and as I performed, people went along, people clapped, people made noise, and then when I was done, everybody stood up and gave a round of applause, and that felt good.
It must have been wonderful. And that was the first time out?
First time out, I felt good, and I felt like I released tension.
All right, so there is emotion that has to be let out.
Yes.
And not just in you, it's in everybody, I think.
Everybody. When you're on the stage is yours. That's your time. That's your moment to be free.
And to stand up and say what's on your
What's
mind.
on your mind. No, and nobody can take that away from you.
No, I think not. We had a poet, a friend of ours. Her name is Valerie Lawson, and she did a wonderful piece one day about being a hairdresser.
Yeah.
And she says, when the ladies sit in my chair, I give them everything they want.
That's their time.
I cut out the ugly parts and leave just the beauty and send everybody home relieved and happy. It's a wonderfully cathartic piece. It's a wonderful way to look at the world. Because me, I need people in my life. I need to feed them. I need to be fed by them. I need to teach them. I need to be taught by them. And this is a wonderful way to go about this. This is a wonderful way to learn about yourself, to learn about others.
Words inspire. Words inspire.
Very much so. Very much so. Now, I've got a piece by our friend Phil Hissouris, and this speaks, I believe, to... Actually, I'll let it speak for itself. This is called Mean Radio. I never had the gift of gab. That rat-a-tat-tat repartee, I was always on time delay when it came to that snappy comeback. 24 minutes later it was, oh yeah, and then a tirade would flow out, tongue-tripping Tourette's, but I digress. Never learned to play guitar. My fingers couldn't move that quick. Never learned the game of love, too many pieces for that puzzle. Always came up one short. Game of cards was a bust. Never knew when to bluff. But I play a mean radio, from one end to the other. Never could stop the tears, it's just no use trying. Never learned the game of life, too many twists and turns. The fork in the road always leads to stop signs on dead-end streets. Driving a standard just never meant to be. However, I play a mean radio. Sometimes that's all that I do. Oh, those dreams of becoming a rock star have all but faded away. I will let you in on a little secret. Singing in the shower, water turns off by itself, and my dog Lila and cats in heat have better pitch than I do, and that's when I slip on the radio like a worn-out shirt. Flipping through the air like a staccato epileptic fit, trying to find someone who will tell me that I am special. Then I hear that one song, and I am back where I started. Never had a sense of direction. Is it north, northwest, south, or right at the gas station, or after the third house on the left, before the oak tree in the middle of insanity? Never did like those horror movies, but I can scream on my own. Reality is much more terrifying. Never could learn from my mistakes, or I'd be just perfect, and that's something that I'm just not. But I play a mean radio, and that's all right for now. Now, I get lost inside myself sometimes. I get lost inside the mad emotions of life, and this speaks to me, to that. Oh, come on, something familiar. Click. Many men I know, many people I know, feel smaller than they should for lack of the ability to express themselves. Now, this has been a gift for me. The friends who have said, no, speak in public. Friends who have said, come and perform with us. We will perform with you. This has been a wonderful, wonderful exercise for me. When you do your spoken word, is it a practiced thing? Is it an off-the-cuff thing? Is it sometimes both of those things?
Yeah, it's everything put together, all of them to form one energy. And then, you go out and you absorb the energy of the audience. Depending on the energy of the audience is what you give them.
Your friend Grace does that particularly well. Will walk out and read an audience and do a piece off the top of her head that relates to that audience and how she feels. The piece she does about the water. Come to the water, return to the water. That is so much call and response. It's right out of my own childhood. Come, be with us. Come and do this. It's a very, very powerful thing. Now, as you've done this, as you have come around, you have attracted a number of very, very interesting performers.
Yes.
Who are your favorites? And
Grace.
what is it about them that fires you up?
My favorite is Grace.
How come?
Because spoken word poetry, you know, you speak from your emotions, but Grace picks up the emotions and the energy of the audience and speaks from there.
I've seen her do it. It's a pretty startling thing to watch. It looks like a practiced piece.
Without
But I've
writing
asked
anything.
her about it, and she says it's anything, but it's not
Yeah,
practiced.
it's not practiced, it's not written. It just, she speaks,
just-
flows off
It
her
just
tongue.
flows right off the top of her, you know, right off the tip of her tongue. It's a wonderful thing to hear. Who else? Who else do you like?
I like Chemo Hill.
Chemo's good.
Yeah, Chemo's great. Chemo Hill. D. Ruff. you
D.
know.
Ruff also?
There's Ashley Rose.
Yeah,
You know. There's Arnie Danielson.
that would be me.
Yes, it is.
That would be me.
know.
And we talk a lot. We bounce around a number of different subjects. We do social things and cultural things and poetic things and art things. And I draw a tremendous amount of energy from you.
When you speak as if you're performing. That's how that's how you speak.
I'm shameless. I can't help myself. I always wanted to dance on Broadway, and I guess this is the closest I'm going to get. But we do have some fun with this stuff, and
Yes.
we have had fun sharing audience. We've had fun together, and I would like to have some more fun. I've got a piece. This is from you know Everett.
Everett Hoagland.
You know Everett Hoagland,
Yes.
and you know the New Bedford guys. This is Everett's piece, and this is from a while ago. There were two of them here, and I will read them back to back because they are that kind of piece, or those types of pieces. Now, Everett I like a lot. I have watched him perform, and he adds another 6 inches to his height when he stands up behind a lectern, and he draws himself up tall. This is called Jammin'. It was that rainy summer night when Bobby Green was playing at the pub. He took out his horn, did his thing, and poured blue milk into her ear. She leaned near and whispered to me. It was the vaporous voice of sax. We picked up on that jam session and danced home to do it to death. A duet to life. We sang all songs, we danced all dances, until dawn came up like a song on Sunday. Dawn had a rainbow wrapped around its waist, and the pot at the end of the rainbow spilled over with the alto rain of sax and the baritone love moan of a saxophone. Now, that's a complete picture that I can see from start to finish. A complete entwinement, involvement of two people. Wonderful piece. And this is also his, and it's titled At East-West Beaches, and this is for Nia. The day night was born. We searched for rare, old, sea-smoothed fragments of blue and green bottles. Glass made from sand, made from stone, made from rock, made from cosmic dust. We took off our shoes and fringed the lips of undertow with footprints the waves redeemed from the firm, wet shore. We glanced and gave each other milk-white moonstones, smooth-surfaced obsidian, pebbles translucent as sucked rock candy, and rolled up our jeans in the raw, salty mist. The sun sank into a violet-lipped quahog, and grit-edged night opened like a muscle. By black light, we crossed over a sandbar into campground. The night day was born. We turned around, and we saw no footprints.
Wow.
Well, that's the finest walk on the beach I've ever heard.
I've seen
That's a
it.
nice walk on the beach. We had a little bit of fun, and Everett and I have talked about this. He read this to me one day as we were sitting down. It's not Fort Phoenix. Fort Phoenix is the other side of the harbor, but out at the end of the harbor on the other side of the dike, out on the ocean, looking out at that long curve of Narragansett Bay. And we talked about lovers, and we talked about footprints, and we talked about free expression, and we talked about romance, and we talked about language. And he has become a very good friend and an artistic mentor. I pay very, very close attention to this guy. When he stands up and he speaks with a power that is generations old. Generations old. And it is a wonderful thing to experience.
Especially, I say, to say love, one of the greatest motivations.
Love is a difficult thing. I say we're smaller people without it, without an ability to express it to one another. Male culture has always been, let's say, somewhat reticent, somewhat hesitant to express love. But somebody was cracking wise one day and said that there is no more cleaner expression of love than laying flat on your back in the ice-cold puddles in the wintertime with a friend repairing his car because no one has the money to take it to a proper mechanic. And that's fundamentally true. I was speaking the other day with a fellow about what it is that we need to improve our collective lives, and part of that for me has always been, please let us hand the young men a proper vocabulary. Give everybody a dictionary here, it's free. All of the world's knowledge is right here for you. Internalize it, develop a practical vocabulary, a professional vocabulary, an artistic vocabulary, but for the young men in particular. And I'm thinking about myself as the young man I am no longer, and every other young man that I know, a proper emotional vocabulary, a way to speak what they feel.